United States, the first half of the 20th century. A man lies down on a couch, loosens his tie, closes his eyes, and slips into a profound, self-induced trance. In this altered state of consciousness, he is capable of delivering precise medical diagnoses, peering into past lives, and predicting the fates of entire nations. His name is Edgar Cayce, known to the world as the Sleeping Prophet. Cayce correctly predicted the outbreak of World War II, the stock market crash of 1929, and even the invention of lasers. But among his more than 14,000 documented readings, there are some whose true, terrifying meaning we are only just beginning to understand today. One of these visions concerned an invisible threat, a disease that would not come from other people, but from the earth itself. Today, the world lives in fear of airborne respiratory viruses. But what if I told you that Edgar Cayce foresaw the emergence of a very specific pathogen? A virus that has been lurking in the shadows, waiting for its moment. A virus with no known cure. One that uses the most harmless creatures on the planet as its Trojan horse. This is the story of the hantavirus, and what Edgar Cayce believed awaits humanity when this pathogen finally reveals its true face. Let us travel to the archives of the ARE, the Association for Research and Enlightenment, in Virginia Beach. While studying the transcripts of Cayce's trance sessions, researchers stumbled upon a fragment that, for decades, was dismissed as mere metaphor. Deep in his slumber, Cayce spoke these words, "And the time will come when the dust of the earth shall become poison to the lungs of man. Seek not the enemy among your brothers. The enemy hides in the burrows, among the dry grasses. The little beasts that scurry beneath your feet shall leave their mark. And when man breathes in this dust, his own blood will rise against him, and the breath shall leave his body. It will be a warning from nature, once man has trespassed too far into her realm. The dust of the earth, little beasts, the breath shall depart from his body." Back in the 1930s, these phrases rang out like a passage from some bleak Old Testament prophecy. No one could have realized that Cayce had just outlined, with absolute bone-chilling medical accuracy, the transmission route and symptoms of an illness that science would not formally recognize for decades to come. So what precisely is the hantavirus through the lens of modern science? Hantaviruses constitute an entire family of viruses. Unlike numerous other worldwide infections, they do not pass from one person to another. Their natural reservoir? Rodents, voles, cotton rats, and most notably the deer mouse. The creatures themselves do not become sick. They serve merely as carriers, vessels. The virus flourishes in their saliva, their urine, and their droppings. And this is exactly where Cayce's enigmatic words about dust turning into poison take on a chilling reality. As rodent excretions dry, they blend with the soil. It only takes a person walking into an old shed, beginning to sweep the floor of a cabin, or stirring up a pile of dry leaves. The microscopic dust lifts into the air. The person inhales. The virus reaches the lungs. In epidemiology, this is referred to as aerosolized transmission. The modern world first encountered this invisible foe on a large scale during the Korean War in the early 1950s. More than 3,000 United Nations troops abruptly came down with a strange hemorrhagic fever. Their kidneys shut down. They experienced severe internal bleeding. The illness took its name from the Hantan River in South Korea, where the first strain was isolated. This came to be known as an Old World hantavirus. But Edgar Cayce resided in America, and his vision of the breath leaving the body was intended for the New World. May 1993. The Four Corners region of the American Southwest. A young, physically fit Navajo man abruptly starts struggling for breath. He passes away en route to the hospital. Just days later, investigators uncover that his perfectly healthy fiancée had died from the very same symptoms only a short time before. Medical professionals are sent into a frenzy. An unknown disease is killing healthy young adults within mere days. Their lungs are simply filling up with fluid. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention launched a sweeping investigation, and they identified the culprit. It was an entirely new strain of hantavirus. They named it sin nombre, Spanish for the virus without a name. Its carrier was the common deer mouse. The mortality rate for this new pulmonary syndrome was a shocking 38%. Remember the words of the sleeping prophet, "His own injury will rise against him, and the breath shall leave his body." Hantavirus cardiopulmonary syndrome does precisely this. It triggers an immune response so severe that the human body destroys its own capillaries within the lungs. The patient literally drowns in their own injury plasma. There is no cure. Even today, there is no FDA-approved vaccine. The only thing that can save a patient is mechanical ventilation and the raw resilience of their own biology. Remarkably, when the CDC unveiled their findings, the elders of the Navajo Nation were not caught off guard. Their ancient oral traditions had warned them for centuries. If mice come into your home, a sickness of the lungs will follow. Edgar Cayce, in a deep trance thousands of miles away from those reservations, had somehow accessed the very same ancient planetary wisdom. We know the hantavirus is real. We know how it functions. But what did Edgar Cayce foresee coming next? Why did he devote a reading to this particular illness when it has not yet caused a global pandemic on the scale of the Spanish flu or recent events? For Cayce, a disease was never simply a biological accident. It always had a spiritual or ecological origin. He believed that the Earth is a living, breathing organism, and it responds to the actions of humanity. In his famous prophecies regarding Earth changes, the prophet warned that as humans destroy natural ecosystems, nature will inevitably activate its defense mechanisms. Diseases born of the animal kingdom shall become a scourge for those who have forgotten harmony. As the forests fall and concrete covers the earth, the creeping things will seek refuge in the dwellings of man, carrying the ancient dust upon them. The virus that slumbers within them will change its face. Once again, modern science is trailing right behind the mystic. Today, epidemiologists are sounding the alarm. Deforestation, urban sprawl, and climate change are radically shifting rodent habitats. They are being forced out of the wild and into our homes. But the most terrifying part of Cayce's warning lies in 4 words: will change its face. The primary barrier protecting humanity from a global hantavirus pandemic today is the lack of human-to-human transmission. But viruses mutate, and it has already begun. In Argentina and Chile, scientists have isolated the Andes orthohantavirus. It is the only strain of hantavirus proven to transmit directly from a sick person to a healthy person through close contact. If the sin nombre strain, with its 38% fatality rate, were to mutate and spread as easily as the common cold, the consequences for global civilization would be apocalyptic. Cayce saw this timeline. In his visions, periods of global geological upheaval are often accompanied by outbreaks of rapid, unknown fevers. He described a time when humans would have to lock themselves in their homes, afraid to breathe the outside air. A time when the relentless rhythm of the modern world would simply stop. He did not call this a punishment. He called it a cleansing, a balancing of the scales. But does this mean the end? If this virus, or one like it, fully breaks its biological chains, will humanity survive? Edgar Cayce was never a prophet of absolute doom. Every single one of his predictions about cataclysms, wars, and plagues always ended with one recurring theme: rebirth. When asked about the future of humanity in the face of these trials, Cayce's answer was absolute. The trials will come not to destroy man, but to awaken his spirit. Those who maintain purity of intent and seek harmony with the Creator and nature shall pass through this fire. From the ashes of the old world, a new race shall be born, a people with a new understanding of life, of the body, and of energy. Cayce believed humanity would overcome the hantavirus and any other biological threat that comes our way. But our salvation will not come solely from a pill or a syringe. The prophet insisted that the true key to healing is a radical shift in human consciousness. We must stop treating the planet merely as a resource to be consumed. When we restore ecological balance, the rodent carriers will no longer need to scavenge in our homes. The natural reservoirs of these ancient viruses will remain exactly where they belong, deep in the wild. Furthermore, Cayce predicted a massive paradigm shift in the medicine of the future. He stated that the diseases of tomorrow will not be cured by harsh chemicals, but by vibrations. He foresaw the use of specific frequencies of light and sound, therapies that would tune the human cellular structure back to perfect health. rendering the body virtually immune to viral invaders? Perhaps it is the very threat of an untreatable pathogen like the hantavirus that will ultimately force medical science to discover this vibrational healing that the sleeping prophet saw nearly a century ago. The hantavirus is a reality. It is a dormant threat, sleeping in the dust of old attics and the dry grass of the fields. But as Edgar Cayce taught, knowledge should never be a source of fear. Knowledge is an invitation to prepare. Cayce's vision has already proven true. The dust of the earth did become poison. We have received our warning from nature. Now the choice is ours. Will we wait until the virus changes its face entirely? Or will we change how we interact with our world before the storm arrives? The sleeping prophet woke up from his trance many decades ago, but his words continue to echo through time. Are we finally ready to listen? Thank you for watching. If this investigation made you look at history and our future a little differently, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like, and let me know in the comments below. Do you believe Edgar Cayce truly tapped into the universe's timeline to foresee the details of this virus? Stay safe, respect the earth, and remember, the future is not set in stone. We are creating it right now.